Hello, and welcome to ASMR by Sunil. I'm still on vacation, but I thought I would read to you tonight because I have some extra time on my hands. I'm going to be reading you some kind of spooky things, 'tis the season. If you're a millennial, you probably know these stories. I used to read them a lot when I was a kid. I have all 3 books. I only have the 2 with me, this one and this one. But I am going to read to you. This probably will be a short video because I'm a little scared of... I shouldn't be reading these, maybe. I don't know. But I wanted to read some cute little stories to you. Now, the first one I'm going to read to you is called... That's what it's called. And this little ghost in this story actually used to terrify me. I think I was in 6th grade when I started reading these books. But this little guy right here, he used to terrify me. I was so scared of him. This story lingered with me for a very long time. And I was actually scared of a ghost in my room. So I'm going to read this one to you. It's such a silly story, but that little ghost. And let's be real, these stories are not actually that scary. But the artwork is something else. So let me go ahead and read this one to you. After Sarah went to bed, she saw a ghost. It was sitting on her dresser, staring at her through 2 black holes where its eyes had been. She shrieked, and her mother and father came running. "There's a ghost on my dresser," she said, trembling. "It's staring at me." When they turned on the light, it was gone. "You were having a bad dream," her father said. "Now go to sleep." But after they left, there it was again, sitting on her dresser, staring at her. She pulled the blanket over her head and fell asleep. The next night, the ghost was back. It was up on the ceiling, staring down at her. When Sarah saw it, she screamed. Again, her mother and father came running. "It was up on the ceiling," she said. When they turned on the light, nothing was there. "It was your imagination," her mother said, and gave her a hug. But after they left, there it was again, staring down at her from the ceiling. She put her head under the pillow and fell asleep. The next night, the ghost was back. It was sitting on her bed, staring at her. Sarah called her parents, and they came running. "It's on my bed," she said. "It's looking and looking at me." When they turned on the light, nothing was there. "You're upset over nothing," her father said. He kissed her nose and tucked her in. "Now go to sleep." But after they left, there it was again, on her bed, staring at her. "Why are you doing this to me?" Sarah asked. "Why don't you leave me alone?" The ghost put its fingers in its ears and wiggled them at her. And he stuck out his tongue and went like he blew a raspberry at her. It's seriously one of the silliest stories ever. But it's good. And it scared me. The next one I'm going to read you is called Something's Wrong. And there's the artwork for it. Little man down there. It's called Is Something Wrong? Let me go ahead and read it, dude. It's very short. A car broke down late at night, way out in the country. The driver remembered passing an empty house a few minutes earlier. "I'll stay there," he thought. "At least I'll get some sleep." He found some wood in the corner of the living room and made a fire in the fireplace. He covered himself with his coat and slept. Toward morning, the fire went out and the cold awakened him. "It'll be light soon," he thought. "Then I'll go for help." He closed his eyes again, but before he could doze off, there was a terrible crash. Something big and heavy had fallen out of the chimney. It lay on the floor for a minute. Then it stood up and stared him down. The man took one look and started running. He had never seen anything so horrible in his life. He paused just long enough to jump through a window. Then he ran and ran and ran and ran until he thought his lungs would burst. As he stood in the road panting, trying to catch his breath, he felt something tap him on the shoulder. He turned and found himself staring into two big, bloody eyes and a grinning skull. It was a horrible thing. "Pardon me," it said. "Is something wrong?" This thing's tapping on his shoulder. Creepy. Very creepy. This next one's called The Dream. Now this one was featured in the movie, but this thing has always been so scary to me. Look at that face. It's terrible. But it's called The Dream. I'm going to read it to you. Lacey Morgan was an artist. She had spent a week painting in a small country town and decided the next day she would move on. She would go to a village called Kingston. But that night, Lucy Morgan had a strange dream. She dreamed that she was walking up a dark, carved staircase and entered into a bedroom. It was an ordinary room, except for two things. The carpet was made of large squares that looked like trapdoors, and each of the windows was fastened shut with big nails that stuck out of the wood. In her dream, Lucy Morgan went to sleep in that bedroom. During the night, a woman with a pale face, black eyes, and long black hair came into the room. She leaned over the bed and whispered, "This is an evil place. Flee while you can." When the woman touched her arm to hurry her along, Lucy Morgan awakened from her dream. With a shriek, she lay awake the rest of the night, trembling. In the morning, she told her landlady that she had decided to go to Kingston after all. "I can't tell you why," she said, "but I just can't bring myself to go there." "Then why don't you go to Dorset?" the landlady said. "It's a pretty town, and it isn't too far." So Lucy Morgan went to Dorset. Someone told her she could find a room in a house at the top of the hill. It was a pleasant-looking house, and the landlady there, a plump, motherly woman, was as nice as could be. "Let's look at the room," she said. "I think you will like it." They walked up a dark, carved staircase like the one in Lucy's dream. In these old houses, the staircases are all the same, Lucy thought. But when the landlady opened the door to the bedroom, it was the room in her dream, with the same carpet that looked like trapdoors, and the same windows fastened with big nails. "This is just a coincidence," Lucy told her. "How do you like it?" the landlady asked. "I'm not sure," she said. "Well, take your time," the lady said. "I'll bring up some tea while you think about it." Lucy sat on the bed, staring at the trapdoors and the big nails. Soon there was a knock at the door. "It's the landlady with the tea," she thought. But it wasn't the landlady. It was the woman with the pale face and black eyes and long black hair. Lucy Morgan grabbed her things and fled. Yikes. Let me see if I can find another one real quick. Footsteps. Let's do one called Footsteps. There's the artwork for it. Creepy. Liz was doing her homework at the dining room table. Her younger sister, Sarah, was asleep upstairs. Her mother was out, but she was expected back any minute. When the front door opened and shut, Liz called, "Hello, Mama." but her mother didn't answer, and the footsteps Liz heard were heavier, like a man's. "Who's there?" she called. No one replied. She heard whoever it was walking through the living room, then up the stairs to the second floor. The footsteps moved from one bedroom to another. Again, Liz called, "Who's there?" The footsteps stopped, and then she thought, "Oh my gosh, Sarah's in her bedroom." She ran upstairs to Sarah's room. Only Sarah was there, and she was asleep. Liz looked in the other rooms, but found no one. When she sat back down at the dining room table, scared out of her wits, soon she heard footsteps again. They were coming down the stairs into the living room. Now they went into the kitchen. Then the door between the kitchen and the dining room slowly began to open. "Get out!" Liz screamed. The door slowly closed. The footsteps moved out of the kitchen, through the living room toward the front door. The door opened and shut. Liz ran to the window to see who it was. No one was in sight, nor were there any footprints in the fresh snow that had been falling. Creepy. Burn the house down immediately. Let's see. I'm gonna read one called Bus Stop. Smart word for it. The bus stop. Okay. Ed Cox was driving home from work in a rainstorm. While he waited in traffic for a traffic light to change, he saw a young woman standing alone at a bus stop. She had no umbrella and was soaking wet. "Are you going toward Farmington?" he called. "Yes, I am," she said. "Would you like a ride home?" "I would," she said, and she got in. "My name is Joanna Finney. Thank you for rescuing me." "I'm Ed Cox," he said, "and you're welcome." On the way, they talked and talked. She told him about her family and her job where she had gone to school, and he told her about himself. By the time they got to her house, the rain had stopped. "I'm glad it rained," Ed said. "Would you like to go out tomorrow after work?" "I'd love to," Joanne said. She asked him to meet her at the bus stop, since it was near her office. They had such a good time, they went out many more times after that. Always, they would meet at the bus stop, and off they would go. Ed liked her more each time he saw her. But one night, when they had a date to go out, Joanna did not appear. Ed waited at the bus stop for almost an hour. Maybe something is wrong, he thought, and he drove to her house in Farmington. An older woman came to the door. "I'm Ed Cox," he said. "Maybe Joanna told you about me. I had a date with her tonight. We were supposed to meet at the bus stop near her office, but she didn't show up. Is she all right?" The woman looked at him as if he had said something strange. "I'm Joanna's mother," she said slowly. "Joanna isn't here now, but why don't you come in?" Ed pointed to a picture on the mantel. "That looks just like her," he said. "It did once, but that picture was taken when she was your age, about 20 years ago. A few days later, she was waiting in the rain at that bus stop. A car hit her, and she was killed." What? He's going on a date with a ghost. Pretty spooky. I'm gonna switch it up now. Go through these ones for just a second. Okay. This next one I'm gonna read is called Cemetery Soup. Cemetery Soup. On her way home from the market, the woman took a shortcut through the cemetery. There, sticking up out of the ground, she saw a big bone. She picked it up and looked it over carefully. "This will make a very good soup bone," she said. "I think I'll take it home. It's perfect weather for hot soup." When she got home, the first thing she did was start the soup. into a big soup pot with water, carrots, green beans, corn, barley, onions, potatoes, and a snitch of beef, some salt and pepper, and the bone. She brought it all to a boil, then brought it down to a simmer. "Yum," she said, sniffing it and tasting it. "I can hardly wait till supper." Suddenly, she heard a small voice. "Please give me back my bone." The woman paid no attention. Soon she heard the voice again. "May I have my bone back, please?" The woman was reading the newspaper and again didn't take any notice. In a little while, the voice spoke up once more. It was beginning to sound angry. "Give me back my bone." The woman kept reading the paper. "Some people are too impatient," she muttered. Once more, the voice spoke. Now it sounded very angry, and it was loud, so loud that the whole house shook. "I want my bone back." The woman reached into the pot, grabbed the bone, threw it out the window. In a voice just as loud, she shouted, "Take it!" There was an eerie silence. Then the woman heard footsteps scurrying away from the house down the road toward the cemetery, and she got up and served herself some soup. I want to say that's silly, but it's fun. Let's read one called The Church. Like I said, the artwork of these books is more than half of the scariness of them. Okay. This will probably be one of the last ones here. Okay. There was a fellow named Larry Berger who wasn't afraid of anybody alive, but anybody who was dead scared the wits out of him. One night Larry was out driving into this country in his old Jeep when he got caught in a bad thunderstorm. The rain was coming down in sheets. Since his Jeep didn't have a top to it, Larry started looking for a place to take shelter. But at the first place he came to, he didn't even slow down. It was an old, deserted cabin, probably as dry as a bone inside, but Larry knew for a fact it was haunted, and he wasn't going to stay there. A few miles further, he came to an old abandoned church, standing all alone in a field. It hadn't been used in years. All the window glass was gone, but it still had sections of the roof intact. So Larry parked his Jeep and ran inside. It was dark as it could be in there. Larry groped around until he found a pew and sat down. It was nice and dry, just as he had thought it would be, and he stretched out his legs and made himself comfortable. Suddenly, there was a big flash of lightning, and Larry saw that he wasn't the only one in the church. There were people sitting in almost every pew. They all had their head bowed as if they were praying, and they were all dressed in white. These must be ghosts sitting in their shrouds, Larry thought. They must have come from the graveyard to get dry. Larry jumped up, ran down the aisle as fast as he could, right back into one of the ghosts, and the ghost went, "Bah!" He went, "Bah." It was a sheep. Bah. Very cute. It was just a bunch of sheep trying to get warm from the rain. Very silly. Alright. I'm gonna do the last one I'm gonna do here. It's called The Dead Man's Hand. There it is. The Dead Man's Hand. The students at the school for nurses got along quite well with one another except for Alice. The trouble with Alice was that she was perfect. At least, that is how it seemed to the other students. She was always friendly and always cheerful. Nothing ever upset her. Her school assignments were always on time and always perfect. She didn't even bite her fingernails. Many of the student nurses resented Alice, and they would have liked to see her fail at something, become frightened, or cry, or do something that showed that she had a weakness like they did. One night, several students tried to frighten Alice with a practical joke. They borrowed the hand of a corpse they had been studying with anatomy and tied it to a light cord in the closet. When she tried to turn on the light, she would find herself holding a dead man's hand. That would scare anybody, one of them said. If it doesn't scare her, nothing will. After trying the hand in place, they went to the movies. When they got back, Alice was asleep, but when they didn't see her the next morning, they decided to find out what happened. There was no sign of Alice in her room, but they soon found her. She was sitting on the floor in her closet, staring at the dead man's hand and mumbling to herself. Alice didn't even look up. The joke had worked, but nobody was laughing. Poor Alice. She just wanted to be a good nurse. I appreciate you guys listening. Like I said, this is a very impromptu video. I am technically still on vacation until tomorrow night. I will drive home tomorrow night. But I wanted to stay up late because I want to sleep as much as I can tomorrow. So I just wanted to do a quick video. Hopefully it's not too weird, and hopefully it doesn't get taken down. I just love these books. They're so fun. I don't have the first one with me. I do have it at home, but these ones are in my computer bag. They're great books. If you've never read these stories, man, the movie was not good, in my opinion. But the books they're a fun read. If you have a little one who's getting into spooky stuff or whatever, these are excellent choices to start them out on. Because they're not super scary or anything, but like I said, that ghost haunted me for a long time when I was younger. He was scary to me. Anyways, I hope you guys have a really great day, a great night. I hope you get some good rest, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.